Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Woodbridge, Virginia. I'm Melissa.
I'm Michael.
Hey, guys. All right, so let's dive into this. So Woodbridge, Virginia was mostly plantations for many, many centuries until it became farms and industrial complexes post-Civil War. In the 1980s, there was a lot of urban sprawl coming out of the DC metro area, and Woodbridge really became a bedroom community for people in Washington, DC.
Yeah.
Neighboring Dale City and Lake Ridge were developed about a decade before Woodbridge was, and we have other videos on Lake Ridge and Dale City, so check those out as well. We dive a little bit deeper into those two communities, but they did get annexed into Woodbridge and became part of Woodbridge. So this is a really diverse community, both like I would say geographically and in terms of the residents, and attracting people from various backgrounds. It's got a very vibrant and multicultural kind of atmosphere here. And then you've got everything from like waterfront properties to more suburban properties on the western edges of Woodbridge. All right.
Yeah, it's really cool real estate. It's such a variety.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, you could be working with 10 different buyers and they wouldn't even be looking at the same areas.
Totally.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. So location, Woodbridge is about 20 miles south of DC. It's got 95 and Route 1, which both run north-south through Woodbridge. The Occoquan River is on the north side. The Potomac River is really on the east side. Woodbridge is the first town when you're heading down South 95 out of Virginia that is in Prince William County. You have just left Fairfax County, which is where Lorton is. It is situated along the Potomac. It's very, very scenic. There's a lot of outdoor recreation here. There's parks, there's hiking, there's trails, there's waterfront views.
Yeah.
Why do people move here?
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing.
Yeah.
There's 45,000 people in Woodbridge, 45,000 people in Lake Ridge, and over 70,000 people who live in Dale City, and that makes up all of Woodbridge. If you're a math whiz, you've probably already added that up.
Yeah.
But it's 160,000 people who call Woodbridge or part of Woodbridge, Virginia, their home. Okay, so like we said, 3 parts to Woodbridge. We're focusing right now on Woodbridge, I guess Woodbridge proper, which is the CDP, the census designated place, which is east of I-95 really. So you've got Dale City and Lake Ridge, like we said, they were planned communities in the 60s and 70s and they were annexed in. Separate videos on them, so check those out for sure.
Yeah, it's really funny. My mom, whenever we were growing up in Alexandria, a lot of her friends that worked for the city of Alexandria were moving out to Woodbridge.
Oh, wow.
Because of the bedroom communities.
Yeah.
You know, and so she used to talk about it a lot of times. So it's very interesting how that has kind of woven into the fabric of especially the older generation.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about transportation.
Okay.
Yeah, transportation is definitely a really important topic, especially when you're looking to purchase a home, because 95 can be messy in the evenings and in the mornings. So there's a lot of bottlenecking. So you definitely want to look at the different commuting options, and also you want to factor in where you're buying. So especially in the neighborhoods east of 95, you know, there's one way in and one way out. A lot of the neighborhoods have a lot of twists and turns when you're getting in and out, and so it's something to factor in because you could have an additional 20 to 25
Yeah,
minutes.
I think that's because it's more coastal over there. So it's like there's not just open land everywhere. Like there might be water that comes up and then you've got to navigate around that. Or whatever.
Yeah, there's a neighborhood called Marumsco Hills, and it's like I had clients who lived in there, and it's just, you know, turn and turn and turn and turn. And so it's something to factor in. So what's really cool about it, though, is you have the VRE, the Virginia Railway Express. You've got 2 stops in that side of Woodbridge. So it makes it a lot easier for commuting. What's really cool is a lot of people can get reimbursement from their jobs because it's like the metro. You can load the transportation costs on the platform, reload your tickets. And also you can buy it online, which is really cool. They offer different packages, especially because, you know, all the hybrid commuting and all of those things like that with work. So it's definitely something to factor in. You've got the Woodbridge stop, which is really nice, and then you also have the stop in Ripon Landing. So there's a lot of options, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, and they do terminate in Union Station. You have stops in Crystal City and in Old Town.
Okay.
What's really cool is another option is you have the OmniLink bus.
Okay.
Really, really cool. So I had friends who commuted on the OmniLink bus. And so
Your friends commute everywhere.
I know. Well, I mean, pre-COVID, everybody used these.
Yeah.
You know, it was so important to know how to get around,
right?
Especially with, you know, the 95 traffic being so bad, that everybody was always looking for a lot of different options. So, you know, the bus stop at Gideon Road and Dale Boulevard, they have stops in DC, at Roslyn, Pentagon, Old Town, and Navy Yard. which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Navy Yard's a big one, especially because there's so many more companies that are going in that area. So really important. So, and then also what we love to talk about, slugging.
The slug rides.
So it's a really cool rideshare program. I definitely encourage you to check it out online. It's really, really interesting to read about the culture of slugging. And so one of the most popular lots is the one on Horner Road. And so it really is. You drive up and you can either be the driver or the passenger. And there are people that are essentially like blacklisted. You'll see people drive up and they'll just pass by somebody. Which I also think is hilarious. So it's really, really cool. And, there's there's rules in every different car. And it's just really cool. So you have the option to be the passenger or the driver. So it's just
crazy.
Yeah, it's a
some
really
cars
cool
you can't
option.
talk.
Yeah. And
Can't change the radio.
Yeah, tune into some of our other videos of the hysterical story about the bee flying in the quiet car.
My friend was allergic and a bee flew into the vent and she was in a quiet car and she couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, there are a lot of different options, which is really nice about Woodbridge. So, it's just one of the things while you're making that decision, you want to factor in and look at all the different routes. And one of the good things is that if you're, going southeast to Quantico, the FBI Academy, NCIS, you're going to be doing somewhat of a reverse commute. So that's a really, really nice option.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's talk about real estate in Woodbridge. As we said, people move here because the prices are a lot more affordable. So in the 1980s, Woodbridge was like mostly farms and industrial areas, and then it experienced a surge in residential development. If you don't want a house built in the 1980s, this might not be the place for you.
Yeah.
So single family homes start in the 300s and they go to, over $1 million. You can definitely find them. Homes that don't need any work are going to be the ones that are in like 500 and above, right? Like you can find homes that you can walk into, turnkey essentially. But anything sort of sub 500,000, you're going to need to put some elbow grease in or do some work to it. Condo townhomes, which they have here, start in the 200,000s. They go up to the 300,000s if you get a fee simple. And the difference really is that a condo townhome, you don't own the land underneath you. Just a different style of ownership. It's similar to just a condominium type of ownership, other than the fact that you might have a yard or something like that you're able to do things to. But when it comes to like the roof is maintained by the condo association. It's considered a common element. If you're in what we call a fee simple townhome where you own the land underneath you, the roof is also yours. If you want to replace it, that is on you and you pay for it.
Yeah.
So Belmont Bay is one of my favorite areas of Woodbridge. So this is a waterfront community. They've got townhomes, there's condos, there's single family houses there. There's the gorgeous sidewalks along the water and so much green space there. And the Belmont Bay Country Club is pretty awesome as well. So that's like a relatively new community, like those Harbor Point condos and stuff were like last 20 years, 20 years.
They're super cool.
Yeah,
the
built in like
incredible.
and built in like the heyday of like when the building right before the housing thing kind of took a dive.
Yeah.
And so there's also waterfront, single family waterfront homes on the Occoquan River and the Potomac River. So privacy sort of varies depending on location. Things are a little bit more private over off the Occoquan River just because that's like inland a little bit. Potomac, that's more densely populated. So, but it's definitely for there more convenient to transportation.
Yeah, they each have their own cool views too. Like the types of views, it really is like on the Potomac side, it's just sprawling views. Right. Whereas the Occoquan, it's, you're looking across in Fairfax County, and it's really, really cool. And then there's all these different neighborhoods that are around those waterfront properties that have these really beautiful big custom homes. Right. And so, you have a lot of different options in those areas as well. So it's not going to be the typical, HOA neighborhood. You're going to have, if you're really looking for more architecturally pleasing, custom built homes, that's something that you definitely want to look at.
Cool. Yep. So, and what you'll really find here is that there's a relief to the cost of living and housing prices in Woodbridge. The cost of living in Woodbridge tends to be lower, particularly when it comes to housing prices and rental rates.
Yeah.
When I show houses in Woodbridge, That's where I fill up my car.
Yes. Same.
All right, food, on to you.
Yes. So diverse set of choices, and it continues to get stronger. One of the really cool things is that you have not only the options just in Woodbridge, but you also have Lake Ridge and Dale City.
Right.
Which is absolutely cool. So some of my favorite restaurants in Woodbridge are Via Chopsticks, El Paso Mexican restaurant, Dixie Bones, really love Dixie Bones a lot, and then Leah's European Kitchen, which is a really, really cool small little restaurant. Really like that place. And then Duck Cow and Abogida Ethiopian, really, really fantastic. Look at the reviews online. People absolutely love that restaurant. Cool. And then Aroma Latin Fusion, which is really, really is a really great restaurant. So you get a lot of your chain restaurants like Firebird and Not Your Average Joe, Bricks Firewood Pizza, all of those different options that you have that you would typically look for, Uncle Julio's, all those things. But most of them are clustered around the main commercial areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's, so you have so many different options, whether you want to go small or chain. And it's really definitely continuing to grow. It's amazing. Every time I go into Woodbridge, I see new restaurants popping up, stuff that I never would have expected. Mm-hmm. Really great sushi restaurants. So you really won't, a lot of people say, I want to drive to the city for, really good food, but it's getting to the point where you don't have to do that anymore. Yeah. So, and a lot of chefs are actually moving down there to open up restaurants because it's much more affordable, and there's a lot of people that are craving, that. And so there's also a really cool food hall that opened up over off of Miniville Road. Really, really, really awesome options. I love going in there when I'm down there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then there's just the usual suspects of grocery stores, Lidl, Aldi, Giant, Food Lion, Safeway. There's the Wegmans. We've talked about that in other Woodbridge videos as well, which is at Stonebridge at the Potomac Town Center.
Yeah.
Harris Teeter on Springs Road, and then the Mom's Organic Market, which is actually a local chain here.
Yeah, natural grocery store. Awesome.
Yeah. And then Walmart and Target actually also have grocery stores in them as well. And then you've got the international grocery stores.
Yeah, Kumasi Supermarket, Fresh World, Wiggs Global Food, and Toto Supermarket. Lots of really great options, and I love it because, especially loving to cook at home, being a big home cook, I love being able to go there and look for items that I may not be able to get in the typical grocery stores.
Cool. All right, so now let's talk about family and fun, because you're probably going to be moving here with family, right? So there's a strong sense of community in Woodbridge, and there's a lot here for families. There's local festivals, there's events, parks, playgrounds, and rec facilities, which offer a lot of cool things to do. So there's also libraries and community centers, sports leagues for the kids as well. Most people tend to think of Woodbridge and they think that big Potomac Mills sign because they see it from 95. But, and yes, like for fun, sure, there's 220 stores at the Potomac Mills Mall. There's a section called the Fashion District, which actually has higher end brands like Neiman Marcus and Bloomingdale's. Yeah. Bloomingdale's is like no other store in the world.
Yes.
There are 18 different theaters and 25 restaurants to refill your tank at the mall. There's also Stonebridge at Potomac Town Center, which is across the highway from Potomac Mills. And Brew Republic Beer Works hosts trivia on Monday nights, or you can go to their music bingo on Wednesday if you prefer to sing karaoke. That's on Friday.
Their trivia is awesome. It's so much fun. So I used to meet a couple of friends there pretty regularly. And we would go play the trivia there. It's really great. And the beer's good. The vibe's good. Everybody's really fun. I love it.
So the Alamo Draft House also has trivia as well. And then for the littles, let's talk about the little kids. On Wednesdays from May through September, there's live music from 10 to 11 a.m. in front of the Muse Paint Bar. That's Wednesday mornings. There are a couple recreation centers here as well. The Chin Aquatics and Fitness in Woodbridge, and then the Dale City Recreation Center. What part of that, of Woodbridge is the Dale City Recreation Center in?
Dale City.
Dale City. So good. You're going to win at trivia.
I am.
So they both offer very inexpensive memberships, and then you can take advantage of fitness classes, sports, and swimming and all that good stuff. Prince William Ice Center is an indoor skating rink on Dale Boulevard, and then there's also the Waterworks Water Park, which is the biggest splash park in Northern Virginia.
It's amazing.
There's Fridays at 5, which is a concert series that runs every Friday, May through August at the Prince William County Complex. In October, there's a Pet-toberfest, which includes all kinds of fun for your little pup. Costume contest, agility course, and entertainment for the kids, too. Occoquan Bay Wildlife Refuge is a habitat for birds. It's free to enter, and you can hike or bike along their 4 miles of trails. You can also drive through, and there's hunting and fishing. if you heard refuge and then you heard hunting, you might think I made a mistake. I did not. I know they don't go together. However, they have organized hunts there to control the deer population. I mean, you're in Virginia. That's all I can tell you. At this point. Like, that's all I've got for you. They put bands there on the birds to identify them, and you can actually go watch the volunteers put bands on the birds' legs and everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so they just all sit there and they're like banding them up or whatever. All right, and then the next three places are all kind of situated together.
Yeah, the Nebsco Boardwalk, the Potomac Heritage Trail, and the Ripon Lodge. It's really cool. I love the Nebsco.
Yeah.
The Nebsco Boardwalk. It's really, really beautiful.
It's like elevated and goes over the wetlands so that you're able to like get close to the herons, the ducks, and all kinds of different birds and everything.
It's so scenic too. There's so much like driftwood and wetlands. It's just, you would never know that you're in like such a densely populated area.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And then Potomac Heritage Scenic Trail is connected to 800 miles of trails from the Ohio River Basin to the Chesapeake and Potomac Rivers.
It's so cool. I didn't even know that. I've been on here so many times. I did not know the extent of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, all of these eventually all like cut in. Like a lot of them cut into the Appalachian Trail and stuff like that too.
Yeah, so cool.
All right, Ripon. Is this the place that was one of your favorite places? The historic site?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. It's the oldest house in Prince William County. Definitely worth checking out.
Ripon Lodge. We didn't say it, but Ripon Lodge.
Definitely worth checking out if you're a history buff.
All right, cool. So, Leesylvania State.
One of my favorite places, Pennsylvania State Park. I love this place. I can't even tell you how many times I've hiked there. Okay. I used to have a pass because we would go there.
Oh, because it's a state park. So
and Virginia has some of the most highly. It's won awards many times for our state parks. So Virginia really is. I mean, hands down, Leesylvania has some of the coolest views.
All right.
Best hiking. I absolutely love going there. It's a really fun hike, and it's a really nice, easy day hike. You know, where you can go as far as you want, or as little as you want. And it's just a really nice place to take friends.
All right. They've got boat and kayak launches. There's a fishing area. There's a sailing school. They even have days for like kids fishing tournaments.
Yeah.
And there's a few community pools in Woodbridge as well. One thing that's different about Prince William County from other areas in Metro DC is that there are admissions fees for these pools, typically $5 to $7.50 for an adult for the day. But just know that because a lot of other places, the pools are just, you're part of the rec center, you're part of a community, and you can just go in or whatever it is. Like DC, where DC residents just have to prove it, and you've got a set of pools you can go to, but not like that here.
Yeah.
At Veterans Memorial Park, there are baseball and soccer fields, as well as a skate park, playground, and pool. There's Hamel Mill Pool that's in Woodbridge as well, and then in Dale City, you have Birchdale Community Center, which has a pool, playground, basketball courts, a skate park, and a recreation center. Lake Ridge has tons of stuff over there. They've got 5 pools, a spray ground, a boat ramp, community centers that you can rent, sports fields, playgrounds, fitness stations, and other outdoor recreation courts, including tennis, pickleball, basketball, multi-use, volleyball, and in Lake Ridge, they actually have like a whole system of playgrounds and tot lots as well.
Yeah, and you definitely, with Lake Ridge, you definitely want to check and make sure that it's not association restricted for some of the pools and activities. Yeah. So you definitely want to check that before you go because it is something that they will look for.
Right, and you're talking beyond the community. You're saying they have to be part of Lake Ridge, like part of the 7,200 sounds.
Yeah, there are some things that are open to the public, but you definitely just want to check to make sure because Lake Ridge is such a tight-knit association.
Right. All right, so schools, let's kind of morph over into that. So you're in Prince William County schools. Elementary and middle schools are really got respectable scores here. They're 8s. They go from average to 8s and 9s. So they've got some really good scores. Yeah. High school scores are lower though, but we go through this great school discussion all the time. You do have a decent population in this area that English might not be their first language. The tests are just not like, they're not very clearly written anyway that they use to sort of like come up with these scores. And so like we even talked about at the girls' school, like the kids who didn't have English as their first language were pulled out and I think had like a different set of parameters for them for the testing. The high school sports are actually on a separate website, which you can find for the Woodbridge Vikings Athletics. This isn't a huge sports program. Like it's not like some of the other areas in Northern Virginia where they've got, 7 or 8 sports per season. There's just a few of like the normal sports that you would expect, football, baseball, things like that, kind of just the basics, lacrosse.
Yeah.
And then they also at the high school have AP classes, and they offer a couple different like career path kind of things, aviation maintenance, junior ROTC, and cosmetology, which is pretty cool at their high school.
Yeah, it's really, there's a lot more focus, especially I've seen in Prince William County schools over the years, for, skills, and a lot of kids that aren't going directly to college.
Right.
And so it really is, trades are becoming really important. And so I think that they really are getting ahead of a lot of the other school systems with those programs.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, that is Woodbridge. So it's a large, bustling suburb of DC. Got a very affordable lifestyle.
Yeah.
Access to scenic and outdoor recreation areas, tons of parks, hiking, trails, waterfront views, all kinds of good stuff. It provides residents, I think, with an easier lifestyle financially, of course, but there are other trade-offs like traffic and potentially schools, depending on what grade the kiddos might be. So, we always say, balance is everything, right?
Yeah, and time and time again, we always talk about this, is we have a lot of clients who start in Springfield, and then they go to Lorton, and then they go to Woodbridge, and they see what they can get, and, they may adjust their work schedule, things like that,
right.
With flex time. So it's really, it's just really about what's right with your right for your family,
sure.
and you
sure.
know.
Sure, and then we're gonna, we have a separate little video on Dale City, a separate video on Lake Ridge, which go a little bit deeper into those communities, as well as Occoquan, so check those out as well. And if you have any questions, our contact info is coming next.
Wanna hear you go.